know Big Tray Deee stay heavy every time.
That's the real Tray Deee.
You know that.
That's the real Tray Deee. Just got
out of 10.
Incident in 2003, which ultimately led to your prison sentence.
Yes.
I mean, now that you've served your time, can you talk about what happened back then?
It was actually something that was caused by just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. There was some guys in Long Beach that tried to step on my toes, and it's just something that just flared up, you know.
For more than 10 years, Tracy Lamar Davis, known worldwide as Big Tray Deee, stood as true hip-hop royalty. A platinum-selling artist, Dr. Dre collaborator, and respected OG from the Insane Crips, his street credibility was never in question.
Tell the truth. That's why they didn't want to let Long Beach in the game, because they wasn't getting it back. We greedy. We want it all. We want it all.
He wasn't putting on a show for fame. He was living the life he rapped about every single day. But even for someone that real, trouble came knocking early. Back in 2003, a heated street confrontation spiraled out of control and ended with Tray Deee facing an attempted murder charge that landed him a 12-year prison sentence.
I was actually facing 122 years.
122 years.
Yes, for gang. I was facing 50 years on gang allegations alone, and that's a charge they have for gang members.
Tray Deee ended up having to do some time in prison for
shooting that drunk and not, but I'm just saying, he shot at Snoop.
As if that wasn't enough, he also got caught in a messy money dispute with Snoop Dogg over unpaid royalties, and that drama set off wild rumors of betrayal inside their group, the East Siders.
But with that situation, there was a shooting, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
So you shot was it at Snoop or?
It was at his studio.
So how did one of the most respected West Coast legends turn into one of hip-hop's most overlooked icons? Let's dive in. Before the fame, before the platinum plaques, he was just Tracy Lamar Davis, a young man molded by the streets of Long Beach, California. Born on April 27, 1966, Tray Deee grew up in a world where loyalty, reputation, and survival meant everything, no exceptions. This wasn't a man pretending to be tough. He was tough, living that street life around the clock.
We want it all. We want it all. You can't have this back. We're gonna hand it down, Todd.
By the time he grabbed a mic, he already earned his stripes as an OG with serious respect in his neighborhood. Tray Deee didn't just talk about handling problems. He faced them head on. Betrayal or weakness, he had zero tolerance for that. This realness became his power, the same energy that built his name in both the streets and the studio. But that same code of loyalty that made him authentic also put him on a dangerous path. In November 2003, a heated street confrontation at Long Beach led to his arrest, and prosecutors came hard, even pushing for a shocking 122-year sentence. The charges included attempted murder, assault, and illegal possession of a weapon, even though no one was injured in that confrontation. It showed how harsh the justice system could be toward people with known gang ties in Los Angeles County. The chaos wasn't just some random street fight. It had deeper roots. Tray Deee had co-founded the East Siders with Snoop Dogg and Goldilocks, uniting different sets from Long Beach. Their albums hit big, one platinum, one gold, but behind the success came growing tension.
But you guys actually had a situation.
Mm-hmm. We have a situation, but it's a situation that we taking time to resolve as we do.
It was a money situation.
Yeah.
Over royalties?
Mm-hmm.
Tray Deee later claimed he was cheated out of over $1 million in royalties, while the group itself only saw a small advance. The fame came fast, but the fallout hit even harder. Things got tense behind the scenes. Reports claimed that Snoop's team actually charged the East Siders for the gold chains they wore in one of their music videos, saying the jewelry was a business expense instead of the gifts everyone thought they were. That move didn't sit right with Tray Deee, who spent nearly 2 years trying to settle things peacefully and get what he believed was rightfully owed. When talks hit a wall, Tray Deee finally decided to confront Snoop face-to-face at his home, but what happened next made things even heater. Tray Deee later said that Snoop ran out of his house and jumped into his truck, leaving the situation unresolved and full of tension. The very next day, things exploded. Reports say that people connected to Snoop fired first, and Tray Deee fired back.
But with that situation, there was a shooting, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
So you shot at, was it at Snoop or?
It was at his studio.
A moment that would change everything. That single exchange became the foundation of the Long Beach shooting case, tearing apart the delicate unity the Eastsiders had built between rival groups. With California's strict sentencing laws, Tray Deee had almost no room to fight it. Prosecutors were coming for decades, even 122 years. So in 2005, he took a plea deal, accepting 12 years behind bars for attempted murder. Just like that, his fast-rising career hit a wall, pulling him out of the spotlight during his prime. Even before prison, though, Tray Dee's name carried serious weight. His whole life revolved around how he handled conflict, balancing the roles of enforcer, mediator, and protector under the street code he lived by. While some rappers hired security to handle problems, Tray Deee faced his issues head-on. That fearless attitude made him stand out. His authenticity was his authority across Long Beach and the entire West Coast scene. People knew him as one of the realest voices in the game, a man whose word meant something and whose loyalty was never in question. His street legacy had been built long before the fame, and it showed in every move he made. In 2001, while filming Baby Boy, another tense moment erupted when Tray Deee got into a heated confrontation with San Diego rapper J.O. Felony, a reminder that wherever he went, his name carried serious power. The tension didn't stop there. J.O. Felony had taken offense to Snoop Dogg using the term Crip Hop, and things heated up fast. At first, Tray Deee decided to stay out of it, thinking the two could handle their own business. But when Snoop threw the first punch, everything changed. In an instant, Tray Deee and about 16 homies from Long Beach jumped in to back him up. It was chaos, but loyalty came first. When the dust settled, Tray Deee shifted gears completely. Instead of keeping the fight alive, he took on the role of mediator, making sure things didn't spiral into a full-blown gang conflict. He personally reached out to J.O. Felony to smooth things over and shut down any talk of revenge. That move showed just how much power and respect Tray Deee carried. He wasn't just feared, he was listened to. His mix of authority and diplomacy proved he was more than just muscle. He was a man who knew how to lead. Another situation tested that same mindset during Dr. Dre's Up in Smoke tour in 2000. The Eastsiders were scheduled to perform after R&B singer TQ, which they saw as a sign of disrespect. Tray Deee didn't let it slide. He confronted the tour organizers directly, and instead of causing chaos, he made a bold move. He pulled the Eastsiders off the tour altogether. No violence, no drama, just a firm stand on respect over clout or money.
TQ, yeah. So we told Dre, hey, we finna beat up TQ tonight because he was taking our time slot. Where he was coming in, I think he paid to go on tour. You know what I'm saying? So when he was doing his time, the audience was packed, but he was an R&B singer. I think it was in New York. We came out on his set. So Dre started telling us, hey, you gonna come out the liquor store at this point. He started organizing, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he made it to a way to where we was gonna come out on his set. That would have been dope, but it got took off the show.
Even after his time in prison, though, Tray Dee's loyalty to the code never faded. Around 2017, at a party hosted by Snoop Dogg, a known informant showed up trying to blend in with a crowd of respected OGs. Tray Deee stepped right up and reminded him that no snitches belong around real ones. Things got wild when the man sucker punched Tray Deee, knocking him into the pool. But Tray Deee came out cool, calm, and completely unfazed. That moment proved one thing. No matter the setting, Tray Deee stood firm on loyalty, integrity, and respect. Fame, age, or comfort never changed his principles. His life wasn't just about music or the streets. It was about protecting the very code that shaped both worlds. Tray Deee wasn't just another rapper. He was a power figure, someone whose decisions could either spark chaos or keep the peace. He had the kind of influence that could protect alliances, stop violence before it started, and make sure the rules of the street were always respected. This double life, part artist, part arbitrator, shaped his path in hip-hop and prepared him for every challenge that came later, including the time he spent behind bars. What made Tray Deee stand out was how effortlessly he operated in both worlds. He could drop a hard-hitting verse on a platinum record one day and the next settle a heated neighborhood dispute with nothing but his word. His reputation as both enforcer and mediator wasn't handed to him. He earned it the hard way, tested over and over, and proven through his unbreakable loyalty to the street code that guided everything he did, on or off the mic. That raw street respect flowed straight into the West Coast hip-hop scene, giving Tray Deee a presence few could match. By the mid-1990s, Long Beach had become a powerhouse in gangster rap, and Tray Deee was right in the heart of it all. His realness and loyalty to the Crip Code made him the perfect bridge between the block and the booth. Someone who could speak for both sides and get respect from everyone who mattered. His official rise began in 1994, right when Snoop Doggy Dogg and Death Row Records were taking over the world. Tray Deee jumped onto Snoop's Murder Was the Case soundtrack, dropping bars on 21 Jump Street, showing that his rhymes came straight from real-life experience.
It was, no, they was coming to try to disrupt Snoop and Dr. Dre from getting on stage and accepting an award.
Okay, so this was at the Source Awards.
I think it was the second annual Source Awards in Pasadena.
Not long after, he featured on Thought Dog Pound's 1995 album, Dog Food, with the track Reality, and later popped up again on Snoop's Thought Dog Father and on big movie soundtracks like Gridlocked and A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Every collab added to his legend, because when Tray Deee rapped about street life, it wasn't fiction. It was first-hand truth told without exaggeration. Rolling with Snoop's inner circle also gave him a front-row seat to the high-pressure gang-influenced rap world of that era. He saw how tense things could get, the Death Row versus Bad Boy rivalry, the wild parties, and the constant test of loyalty and reputation. Tray Deee wasn't always directly in the middle of those conflicts, but he understood the code. In that world, your name and your loyalty were everything. Watching respected figures like Nate Dogg and Corrupt, he learned how to balance strength with strategy, always keeping his cool while never backing down from who he was. What made Tray Deee truly stand out was his rare skill to move between two completely different worlds and still stay real. He never faked his background or watered down his truth. He kept the authentic energy that came from his gang roots while learning how to thrive inside the music industry. That balance was something most rappers struggled to master, but Tray Deee made it look effortless. He had been writing rhymes since 1988, using rap as more than just art. It was his voice and his survival strategy. Through his lyrics, he could express himself, gain respect, and open doors that the streets alone couldn't. He understood early on that the street life came with limits. It could only take you so far, but he refused to sell out or change who he was just to please record labels. That loyalty to his own code became his trademark. By combining real-life experience, strategic connections, and sharp lyricism, Tray Deee set himself up for a massive breakthrough that came with Thigh Siders in the late 1990s. He wasn't just another rapper at that point. He was a respected leader, someone who could build bridges, keep the peace when tensions rose, and still represent Long Beach with pride and authority. As the new millennium hit, Tray Dee's career took off. He went from being a solid collaborator to a full-blown commercial powerhouse. His street credibility and industry ties all came together when he helped form Thigh Siders, a West Coast supergroup that redefined the sound of their era. Alongside Snoop Dogg and Goldie Lock, Tray Deee helped shape a vibe that perfectly blended raw street storytelling with mainstream flavor, music that hit both the hardcore fans and the wider audience. Their debut, Snoop Dogg Presents Thigh Siders 2000, was a major hit, going platinum and proving the trio had serious pull. The follow-up, Deuces and Trays the Old-Fashioned Way 2001, went gold, locking in their spot in hip-hop history. But their success wasn't just about music. It meant something bigger. Thigh Siders symbolized a rare moment of unity between different Long Beach Crip sets that had once been rivals. Every track, every move they made carried the weight of that fragile alliance, a balance of loyalty, respect, and survival that defined everything Tray Deee stood for. From world tours to iconic music videos, Tray Dee's reach stretched far beyond Long Beach. His name carried real weight, and by 1999, even Dr. Dre couldn't ignore it. Recognizing Tray Dee's raw authenticity and sharp lyrical skill, Dre brought him on to his legendary 2001 album, placing him right on the intro track alongside Exhibit. That meant Tray Dee's was the first voice fans heard on a record that would go on to sell over 12 million copies worldwide, a massive moment of validation.
Did that like 2 in New York and then another.
Why didn't get took off the show?
I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Probably like.
This wasn't just another feature, it was a statement. One of hip-hop's most respected producers had officially co-signed Tray Deee, confirming that his street-bred talent could stand shoulder to shoulder with the biggest names in the game. It proved that authenticity wasn't a limitation, it was its power.
Not long after, success went global. The East Siders took their sound overseas, hitting stages across Europe and Asia, performing for massive crowds who knew every lyric by heart, even when they didn't speak the same language. In Japan and Germany, fans would chat in bars from Snoop Dogg and the East Siders with the same energy as American audiences. Tray Deee about to see firsthand how far the West Coast story had traveled. That music wasn't just entertainment, it had become a worldwide cultural export. At the same time, Tray Deee kept proving that he could hold his own outside the group. His 2002 compilation album, The General's List, showed off his ability to paint vivid pictures with his words, mixing street wisdom, gritty storytelling, and slick delivery all in one project. Even as his fame rose, he never lost that grounded, real-life perspective that made his music hit different. By this point, Tray Deee wasn't just a voice from the streets, he had become one of the strongest representatives of West Coast rap, respected from Long Beach all the way across the globe. Tray Deee stayed laser-focused and disciplined, treating every verse, every show, and every collaboration like it represented not just him, but Long Beach as a whole. Every word he dropped carried the pride of his city, and he made sure to keep his name solid wherever he went. But as his influence kept growing, so did the pressure. Behind the fame and success, old tensions started to bubble up again. Money disagreements, questions of loyalty, and power struggles even among the people closest to him. Trying to balance the worlds of artistry, global fame, and street expectations was no easy task. One wrong move could destroy everything. And it was during this high-pressure moment, right after his biggest wins, that the trouble began to take shape. Those platinum records, worldwide tours, and the co-sign from Dr. Dre were huge accomplishments, but they also came with new risks and eyes watching his every step. At the peak of his success, Tray Deee was living the dream most rappers only imagine, but he was also living under the same street code that had defined him from the start. Loyalty was being tested, alliances were fragile, and the streets never stopped paying attention. Every decision carried weight, and every rumor could shift his whole path. Then came 2005, the year everything changed. One moment, Tray Deee was performing on international stages. The next, he was facing the reality of the California prison system. After his conviction connected to the 2003 Long Beach shooting case, he began serving a 12-year sentence at the California Men's Colony in San Luis Obispo. That sentence hit hard, not just physically, but mentally. It interrupted the rhythm of his music career and forced him to confront who he was outside of fame. Tray Deee the rapper and Tray Deee the man were now being tested in ways no studio or stage could prepare him for. Prosecutors had originally pushed for a 122-year sentence, a number so extreme it showed how harsh the system could be toward anyone with a known street background. The final 12-year plea deal was still heavy, but it spared him from a lifetime behind bars. Even so, it revealed a deeper truth, that the justice system often judged identity before circumstance. For Tray Deee, it was more than a punishment. It was a brutal reminder of how fast everything can flip when you come from the streets. Years of work, success, and respect could vanish overnight, all because the world saw the image before the individual. Prison turned out to be more than just punishment. It became a test of transformation for Tray Deee. Instead of letting time break him, he used it to build himself back up. He treated incarceration like a challenge to his mind and spirit, not a life sentence to defeat him. During that time, he converted to Islam, finding peace, structure, and a new sense of purpose inside the chaos of confinement.
I don't know if y'all familiar or not, or y'all heard, but I became Muslim when I was in Salinas Valley, so.
His faith gave him clarity. It helped him understand the two sides of his life, the street loyalty that shaped him and the creative fire that defined him. Through prayer and reflection, Tray Deee found a way to balance both worlds, holding himself accountable and learning how to handle conflict without falling back into old patterns. But even locked up, Tray Deee refused to fade away. He stayed creative, writing non-stop and producing two powerful novels, Streets Gon' Cry, 2012, and Los Angeles Times, Urban Tales, 2013, showing that his storytelling skills went way beyond rap.
Few artists behind bars had ever done something like that, and it proved his mind was still sharp and unstoppable.
Music, though, was still his heartbeat. Despite all the restrictions, Tray Deee managed to record Long Beach State of Mind Volume 1, a mixtape he created right from his prison cell using a smartphone and some clever DIY soundproofing made from blankets and cardboard boxes. It was pure innovation, a way to make sure his voice stayed alive in the outside world. Fans could still feel his energy, his hunger, and his presence even when he couldn't step foot on stage. Prison also gave him time to look inward, to think deeply about everything that led up to his downfall. The choices, the loyalty tests, the street pressures, and the system that pushed him into that corner. He analyzed it all. Instead of letting bitterness take over, Tray Deee turned reflection into growth, making sure that when he walked out, he'd come back stronger, wiser, and ready to reclaim his legacy. That long stretch of isolation became a time of deep reflection for Tray Deee. Not just punishment, but a period of sharp self-awareness and planning. Locked away from the chaos, he looked back on his life with precision, balancing regret for the past with a strategy for the future. By the time he walked free in April 2014, he wasn't the same man who went in. He came out with spiritual focus, creative drive, and a clear vision for his next chapter. His time behind bars wasn't just a sentence, it was a transformation. It proved that even when stripped of fame, fans, and the spotlight, Tray Dee's commitment to his craft, faith, and integrity couldn't be broken. The walls could cage his body, but they couldn't silence his mind, voice, or ambition. After 9 long years, April 2014 became a turning point, the rebirth of a West Coast legend. This was the same man who had recorded a mixtape from inside a prison cell, who had found faith in Islam, and who had spent years sharpening his thoughts while the world moved on without him. Once free, he faced a whole new reality. The streets had changed, the industry had evolved, and a younger wave of rappers was running the scene. But Tray Deee didn't flinch. He stepped back into the game with the same authenticity and hunger that made his name in the first place. He wasted no time diving back into the studio. Tray Deee knew that staying relevant in hip-hop meant staying consistent and creative. So he launched his own label, Supreme Circle Music Group, turning it into a platform for both his solo work and collaborations. Between 2016 and 2023, he dropped multiple projects, each one packed with raw truth and hard-earned wisdom, including The Third Coming, The General's List 2, The Certified Project, and Malice. Each album told another chapter of his story, lessons from the inside, reflections on loyalty, and the realities of street life delivered with the honesty only he could bring. His sound had evolved, but his message stayed the same: resilience, respect, and never folding under pressure. Collaboration remained a major part of his comeback, too. Tray Deee linked up with Thot Chill, Corrupt, and Weasel Lock to form the supergroup Dirty OGs, dropping the album We Got Now and Next in 2016. That project showed he could still command attention while sharing the mic with other veterans, proving that leadership and teamwork could coexist when the respect is real. Even as hip-hop continued to shift and new names filled the charts, Tray Dee's voice stayed timeless, raw, grounded, and full of truth. He became the bridge between the old guard and the new era, showing that authenticity never goes out of style. His comeback wasn't just about music. It was about legacy, growth, and reclaiming the respect that had always been his.
They know Big Tray Deee stay heavy every time. That's the real Tray Deee. You know that. That's the real Tray Deee. Just got outside of 10.
One of the most powerful chapters in Tray Dee's story came full circle with the long-awaited reunion of the East Siders. After years of tension, legal disputes, and personal fallouts that nearly destroyed the bond, fate brought the crew back together. What makes it even more incredible is that Tray Deee and Snoop Dogg actually reconnected while Tray Deee was still behind bars, showing that sometimes time and growth can heal even the deepest cuts. By 2014, the legendary trio was back on stage, rocking shows in Fresno and Inglewood, reminding fans why their chemistry could never be duplicated. And then, after more than 2 decades apart, they made history once again with the release of Still Easty in 2024, a full circle moment that proved their unity wasn't just about nostalgia. It was a statement of respect, maturity, and loyalty, showing the world that true brotherhood can survive distance, betrayal, and time itself. But even with all these triumphs, Big Tray Deee remains one of the most underrated figures in hip-hop. His 9-year absence left a gap, a silence that younger fans might not fully understand. While others kept their spotlight, Tray Dee's time away caused the world to temporarily forget the fire he once brought to the mic. Add in the financial setbacks and label issues that sparked his fallout with Snoop years earlier, and it's clear why his path was far from smooth. Still, his impact is everywhere. You can hear it in the sound, the swagger, and the stories that define West Coast rap today. His voice, his cadence, and his code of authenticity helped shape an entire era. Tray Dee's journey, from Long Beach streets to global tours, from prison walls to platinum stages, is the definition of resilience and redemption. He showed that success isn't measured just by plaques or awards. It's about influence, survival, and integrity. He rose again and again, proving that no matter how many times life tries to silence you, real ones always find their way back. His legacy challenges every listener to think about the real cost of loyalty, ambition, and the code we choose to live by. Big Tray Dee's story isn't over. It's still being written. He stands as a living symbol of strength, loyalty, and the unbreakable spirit of Long Beach. If you've been moved by his journey, if you respect his grind, his growth, and his legacy, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below. Let's keep his name alive and make sure the world never forgets the real ones who built the foundation of West Coast hip-hop.